This is one of the meanest blades I've ever seen, and it's not even close. This knife is just wicked, and I'm really excited to show it off. Today we're checking out a knife that's been on my desk for a little while now. It's one I've been honestly pretty impressed with. This is the Vortex from Wixco, a compact EDC folder with some design choices that make it really stand out. Let's dive in. When you first pull this knife out of the box, the first thing that hits you is just how distinct it looks. The hawkbill style blade is instantly what draws your eye. It's aggressive, mean, almost looks like a talon or a claw, ready to rip through whatever you point it at. That slick, curved blade just screams character, and I don't have any other knife that quite looks like this one. And then there's this handle. Red, shredded carbon fiber scales. They aren't just something to glance at, they give the whole knife this premium vibe that's surprisingly eye-catching on something under $100. This combination of blade shape and the red on black contrast makes it almost feel sinister and Sith-like, and I just think it's very cool and eye-catching. One of the things that's kind of addictive about this knife is just the way it opens. It uses dual thumb studs, and here's the cool part. You can remove these studs if you want a more cleaner look or just keep it more minimal in your pocket. And that kind of flexibility isn't something you see on every EDC knife. The action itself is great. It snaps open confidently, which makes you kind of want to play with it every time it's in your hand. There's a ball bearing pivot in here, and it really gives this thing a really smooth deployment. It's not too heavy, but plenty of authority. It doesn't slam shut, but a small wiggle and it finds its way home. I just think it's so cool they went this route with the thumb studs. The blade works fine with the thumb hole without it, but I love that they added the thumb studs. It's there if you want it, but if you don't, you can just loosen it and remove it. I love when I can customize a knife how I want it. Now let's talk about the star of the show here, and it's this crazy looking blade. If you're into unique blade shapes, this is going to hit that sweet spot for sure. It's not your typical drop point or clip point. It's something that looks half blade, half something out of a sci-fi movie. This curvature gives it some really serious tip strength and pull cutting performance, and honestly, it's pretty wicked looking. And honestly, for a lot of people, this is going to be the reason they pick up this knife in the first place, just because it looks mean and purposeful. Performance-wise, hawkbills shine at cutting tasks that involve the pulling motion, like opening boxes, slicing cord, rope, webbing, etc. It's got a real utilitarian edge and an aesthetic that makes it stand out compared to other knives. This is featuring a blade steel of 14C28N, so it should take a pretty good edge and keep it for a while. This steel is extremely common on knives around this price point, so it's nice to see here as well. That said, due to the extreme curve of the blade, I'm kind of dreading sharpening this, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So this isn't going to outperform a $200 or $300 blade, but the materials here are really respectable for what it costs. You have a 14C28N blade, giving it a good balance between edge retention and ease of sharpening, other than this blade shape. It also is pretty lightweight at around 2.4 ounces. It carries easily, and with the shredded carbon fiber handle, it doesn't feel cheap in hand. I think it looks rather premium, like somebody thought about how it should look and feel before it hit production. This retails just below the $100 mark, and for that, I think it's a pretty decent value. Personally, I think this would probably feature a slightly elevated steel for that price point, but overall, it's still a pretty nice pickup. Now, not everything about this knife is perfect. One area that doesn't match the rest of the build quality here is the pocket clip. The steel clip here, it just kind of looks cheap compared to the rest of the knife. It almost feels like an afterthought. Visually and tactilely, it's pretty basic. That contrast is striking when the knife scales and the blade have this really nice polished aggressive look, and the clip just feels like an add-on that wasn't given the same design time. It works for carry, sure, but it doesn't really elevate the experience. It's not terrible, it's still deep carry, but it's the weakest link by far in the aesthetics and just feel the overall piece. It just feels like a clip you'd find on a knife that is $15 to $20, not close to $100. I mentioned this on one of my other Wixco knife reviews, but I just really hate this pocket clip. It comes down to form a pretty sharp point. It just isn't pleasant if you're pushing up on the bottom to get it out of the pocket. It just feels like this is a miss on an otherwise really strong knife. So who should consider this knife? I think if you're into really cool blade shapes that stand out in a collection or rotation, and you like something that's just fun to flip and play with, this is a really great pickup. The action alone is worth it. Plenty of folks will grab it just for that satisfying deployment and this wild blade shape. If you want a more conventional EDC with a simple drop point or a premium clip and materials all around, sure, there's definitely some other options out there. But if you want something with attitude, character, and a blade that looks like it means business, this Vortex is hard to ignore. That's been the Wixco Vortex. Action that's addicting, a blade shape with personality, attractive scales, and a couple little compromises that don't totally kill what's otherwise a really fun EDC knife. If you're curious about funky blade shapes or just want something that's cool to sit in your pocket, this one's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching, and drop a comment below if you carried one of these before. What do you think about it? And don't forget to like and subscribe to get more knife reviews like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.